issues that maybe I should address first that are happening on the national horizon. The Supreme Court is just overtaking every other issue right now. Trump has said he's going to pick nominee on Thursday. I wonder if he'll tweet it out. I wonder if he'll tweet it out and just say this is a person, or he'll have an actual conference. He does, yeah. Someone say something? No. He does a public vetting process, which is done for all his nominations, where he likes to float the names out there and see how groups respond to the individuals before he makes his final selection. It's kind of like a process of elimination. We saw this with Secretary of State, where he said, okay, how about John Bolton? Puts that name out there. Rudy Giuliani puts that name out there. Mitt Romney, he put that name out there. Okay. There, okay. And come on in, Gwen. Chairs over here if you want.
What about the latest Gorsuch?
Gorsuch, yeah. So
that's the latest.
That's the latest. So he's putting out these names and getting them in the press. He wants to see how everybody reacts. So it's our job to speak out. And some people on our side don't really understand it. You got to speak out, and just to help Trump beat Trump. And he's got all these advisors around him now, all the swamp creatures in D.C. that are pushing him in different directions. They don't want Trump to be Trump. And so we need to criticize his advisors when they come out with bad names, as people did with Secretary of State. When people got out there and criticized some of these candidates for Secretary of State, we need to do it for the Supreme Court, or we're not going to get the best picks. So we have to speak out, which we're doing. And we did a coalition letter. I led that. We got 100 groups to sign our coalition letter on this issue. 100. That's a large number of groups that have signed, despite some of these D.C. groups telling people not to sign our letter. So we had, like the Federal Society is in D.C., and they're not pro-life, and they're trying to say bad things about me and trying to get people not to sign the letter. And even some groups you think are pro-life are working against us on this issue. National Right to Life. It really is not a strong pro-life organization.
That's right.
They take their orders from the moderate Republicans in D.C. Some of the other pro-life groups, virtually all the groups in D.C. really are tainted now and are not that good, to be honest with you, to be candid. And as pointed out to me by Rebecca, I don't see her now, but she'll be here during the conference. Rebecca points out that in D.C. now, when you go to a meeting like this, almost everybody at the meeting has a spouse who works for another organization in D.C. that may be on the other side, or not on our side. So everybody is compromised in D.C. They're all two-earning couples, and their spouse is working for someone else. So there may be someone at a pro-life group, and you think that pro-life group, but that person's husband or wife is working on Capitol Hill for a congressman who's not that pro-life. So you just... That's why they say drain the swamp, but we got to drain the swamp, including some of these think tanks and some of these groups that used to be with us. So I get people coming back, well, what does FRC think about the Supreme Court? They haven't said a word. They're not going to say a word. FRC's not going to do anything. What's CWA think? CWA's not going to say anything about this. They're going to wait for their instructions, and whoever Trump picks, they're going to then go out and say, oh, that person's the best person. You know, that person's polite. But that's not the case. President Bush, first President Bush and Ronald Reagan, 3 out of their 5 picks to the Supreme Court were not pro-life. 3 out of 5. Those Republican presidents. And we were all told they were all 5 were pro-life. 3 out of 5 were not pro-life. Kennedy, Souter, and O'Connor. So we're not going to make that mistake again. So we've been successful in eliminating some of the worst people who were being considered and floated as possible candidates. Now we're getting better candidates, but we still have to work at it. Neil Gorsuch is the latest one that they're pushing. And of course the media will push the ones they like the most. So Neil Gorsuch is really being pushed hard by the media. I knew Neil Gorsuch in law school. I knew him. And I knew him afterwards. He's not pro-life. He may look the role. He may be a likable person. He'll do well in Senate confirmation hearings because he's not pro-life. They know they're getting, the liberals know they're getting someone better than who they could have gotten from the liberal perspective. So we need to speak out against him, and we are. And we've gotten a lot of good information out there about him. And We got Janet Porter with us here. And Janet, maybe you just want to say something about his church that just came out. The church that Neil Gorsuch, not only does he attend his church, he's an usher in the church. And what did the church do, Janet? Maybe I'll tell everybody.
Sure. I mean, most of the stuff, the research was done by you, but I also talked with Phil Jaregi, the Judicial Action Group, and it turns out that this radically pro-abortion church that he attends, the senior clergy is a woman who attended the anti-Trump, anti-life march last Saturday. And she was quoted as saying, quote, "I have never felt so connected to humanity," as she did at the march. And so I don't know if you can picture a Scalia going to a church like that, but I can't picture a Scalia going to a church like that, and we need to speak out against him. The other quote, I don't know if you're going to say it, but I've been tweeting it out to people and trying to get people. That he also said, it's our duty to follow precedent. In our duty to follow precedent, sometimes requires us to make mistakes, which in a post-Roe world does not make me feel very comfortable at all. So I just think that this guy needs to be fought, and anybody you know that has Trump's ear, let's feed this information to them now before it's too late.
Right. Not Neil Gorsuch. He's unacceptable. That's what we need to get that message out. Veto Neil Gorsuch. Now, you're asking me, why am I always talking about who we need to veto? That's the process Trump uses. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's the way he does a process of elimination. There are people we've told him to pick, like Charles Kennedy and Jennifer Elrod, but it's harder to get him to pick a certain person. He may have his own reasons for not picking people. I mean, we tried, and we put those names in his ear, and we're trying to push him in that direction. But he likes to do it with a process of elimination, so you see what's left. What I'm hoping is that he'll get through all his list, and we'll eliminate everybody. We'll eliminate everybody, and then he has to start over. And then when he starts over, he'll start with Charles Kennedy and Jennifer Elrod to get better people. He did that with the Secretary of State process. He eliminated, because they knocked out John Bolton. And by the way, you know why they say they knocked out John Bolton? He's kind of a friend of ours, because of his mustache. Yeah. His mustache, why knocked him out. Yeah, I kid you not. That's what people say. Because of his mustache.
I've heard that,
Yeah, nobody who works for Trump has one of those big handlebar mustaches.
Well, Jennifer is sort of a good-looking woman.
Yeah, Jennifer Elrod is. She is. If we just get her in for an interview, we'd have a chance. So anyway, he knocked out John Bolton, and then he knocked out Giuliani, and Rand Paul played a role in that. If we could get some senators to speak out, where are the senators? Where are they? Rand Paul spoke out and said, no, John Bolton's unacceptable, Giuliani's unacceptable. And he did it in a very tactful way. He said that I want Trump to fulfill his promises. I want him to pick a Secretary of State who believes in what Trump campaigned on. And he did artfully. And he knocked those two people out. And then came Mitt Romney, and he got knocked out. And then Trump said, there's nobody left. So he's going to start all over. And that's when he picks Tillerson. Okay, so we're hoping that'll happen. He'll eliminate everybody, and then he's got to start all over. If that doesn't happen, if he picks someone, the best one who's been sort of floated on the finalist is this guy, Tom Hardiman, from Pennsylvania, Ned State. And Ned knows some people who know him. He's not fantastic. He's not our first choice. He's not our second choice. He's not our third choice. But among the list of contenders, he's better than the others. He doesn't go to a church where the minister is pro-abortion and pro-homosexual rights and going to the march against Trump. And a lot of other things in Gorsuch's background. As Janet said, I don't know if you all followed that, but what we're running into are these people who will kind of pretend to be pro-life, but they'll say you can't overturn prior court rulings. So they'll play that game. Say, oh, I'm pro-life. So then you say, well, you're going to overturn Roe v. Wade. No, we can't do that because Roe v. Wade is part of the Supreme Court, what they call stare decisis, Supreme Court decisions, and if we overturn Roe v. Wade now, that would undermine the integrity of the court. We don't want anybody like that. We want people to go in there and clean up the mistakes of the court. That's their job. I mean, we all clean up our own mistakes, right? The Supreme Court has to clean up its own mistakes. So we don't want anyone who's taking that tack, because that's the way they'll save Roe v. Wade, and they'll keep it forever. They'll say we can't. It's been there too long.
Here's what I say, activists.
What's that?
Wasn't Roe versus Wade
illegally put in?
Yeah.
Because
That's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
activists gave us Roe v. Wade, it's gonna take an activist to
Right.
get rid of Roe v. Wade.
Right.
But they voted on that when somebody was out sick or they purposely didn't have all the members there voting.
There was some of that. A bunch of people had resigned at that time and stuff, and there was doing that. But I'm telling you, the pro-aborts are so
So it makes it
devious.
valid.
They're,
Okay.
they're so devious that they come up with these legal theories to try to push their agenda. And this legal theory they've come up with is, well, even decisions that are mistakes, we've got to keep them there because they're part of the institution now. So you got to watch out for that. And as Priscilla said, we need an activist who's going to,
But isn't the Heritage Foundation with us on this?
no,
No.
no.
Aren't they
Heritage
also
Foundation is supported by Richard Henry Scaife money, like millions and millions of dollars. He's a pro-abort whose mother used to have tea with Margaret Sanger every week.
What?
He took
They're
out a
also
full,
for Con Con.
wait a minute, Richard Henry Scaife took out a full-page ad in New York Times calling for abortion. Now, he died 2 years ago. You're going to say, the enemy says, oh, well, he died. However, the head of his foundation is on the board of Heretic Foundation. So the money is still there. They're still getting
Yeah.
state money.
And we'll get to you in a second,
Does
Chief.
Wagner get it too?
Heritage is in the swamp. It's in the swamp. I mean, all those people who work there, they all have spouses who work on the Hill, and they're part of the swamp now.
And they took a whole bunch of money from the Koch brothers.
Took a whole bunch of, okay, and we'll get to the Koch brothers here in a second too with Con Con. So they're not with us. And you can look at their public statements. They're saying, someone from the Heritage, the guy who gave a list. And by the way, the Heritage people, when they gave the list to Donald Trump, that made it onto his list, not one pro-life woman on their list. Not one. It was like 8 or 9 people, not one pro-life woman.
And
That's
the
another game
Heritage
they'll
guy
play.
that's working on the list, are we talking about the guy that's attacking you publicly?
No,
Oh,
Ed Whelan, no, he's not a Heritage, but he's part of that network.
He's part of the same
Yeah.
network of money.
The Heritage attorney, he made a statement just the last couple of days. He goes, well, we think Neil Gorsuch will be confirmable. We'll have an easier time getting through the Senate. Yeah, because the liberals like him. I mean, we're trying to appease the liberals here.
So, Andy, could you comment on what happened with the National Review article and Ed Whelan?
So,
And
yeah.
what we should do?
So I started speaking out. So National Review, which is almost disappeared, as
Not never
influential
accomplished,
thing.
Well, they-
And yeah, they did a Never Trump letter, and then they did this. Then some of these people, like including Ed Whelan, they did this ridiculous letter that if you're Catholic, you should not be voting for Trump. It was like a strident, Catholics must oppose Trump. And so they're online, so I do this coalition, so he starts attacking me over and over online, and I do some trade. He's connected, the Federal Society has their executive, Leonard Leo, who sits on the board of the think tank that Ed Whelan is president of, and there's all these connections and stuff, and they're going to attack us when we speak up for the pro-life cause. They're going to attack us. It's all right. Yeah,
Well,
Nancy.
I actually, after my letter that I wrote appeared in the Illinois Review, I actually called Ed and he spoke to me.
No kidding.
Yeah. I called and put a message on, then he spoke, "Are you Nancy Thorner?" And he spoke to me. And I said, "Well, I didn't like what you said about Andy." I said, and I went on and on. And then he said, "He actually called you a fool." He said, "I shouldn't listen to you anymore, that nothing you said is right, and that you're telling lies all the time."
Okay.
Then she mentioned about the letter, that Phyllis okayed the list and everything, and I just
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it, you know.
Okay, now here's one thing Ed Whelan will do and some of the
Yes.
others will do.
Yes.
They'll try to bully you in an
Yeah.
intellectual way. They'll try to put you down and say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about."
Yes, we did.
Oh, no, you don't. You got all the concepts mixed up. You got them all mixed up. No, we don't have anything mixed up. Ed Whelan does not support Trump's pledge to pick a pro-life judge. He doesn't support the pledge. So I like, Ed, why are you even talking about this issue? Why are you talking about fulfilling the pledge when you don't support the pledge? But they'll say, well, you're not an attorney, you haven't clerked for the Supreme Court, they'll tell you this, they'll try to put you down. It's not that complicated, folks. It's really not that complicated, okay? Is the judge pro-life? Does he have a pro-life record? If he doesn't, we don't want him, because it would break the pledge.
What about that, Susan B. Anthony? He pledged to them that he was going to get a pro-life.
Yeah. Okay, so they're sending out emails attacking me. Susan B. Anthony.
You're kidding.
They are.
Yeah.
But they donate to Planned Parenthood.
Susan B. Anthony?
No, no,
They're
no.
on the list.
No, no, no.
They were on the list.
Oh, and Jane, you were going to say something.
Andy, this is being broadcast on Facebook Live.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that's great.
Well, you need to know that the swamp is being funded by the Koch brothers. They had
Yeah.
a big report in the paper about how they're going to divide and conquer by giving money. They gave $8 million to Concerned Women for America.
Yeah.
And all the money they gave to Heritage.
Andy?
And
Yeah.
probably
Divide and conquer.
Yeah,
So we are Facebook Live.
okay.
I would like for everyone that is listening in and who will see the replay of this to know what specific action we should all take right now, since this is imminent. He says he's
Yeah.
going to make an
Yeah.
announcement
Yeah.
by Thursday.
Yes.
What is it we should all be doing?
is it next Thursday?
Well, speak out, and, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna write a letter, FedEx it to Bryce Priebus on our
Okay.
stationery.
Very good.
And, cause he does care, he says, let me know.
Yeah.
Well, how do you reach them though? That's the thing I'm finding, having trouble finding any letters to
Tweet
address.
at
Try.
Real Donald Trump. Tweet
Tweet, yeah,
at Real Donald
Yeah.
Trump
Yeah.
with the names of the people that we want.
well,
Okay.
and
Which
the,
are-
and the names we don't want. So veto Neil Gorsuch.
I never did that before, so you just put in with your tweet and co. Tweet.
We can talk about that later.
No to Neil Gorsuch. Yes to Charles Kennedy and Jennifer Elrod. That fits within tweet.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Yeah, unacceptable.
What are you planning to do at the National Right to Life March on Saturday?
I'm sending people, now that's interesting, there's a organization called March for Life. It's not really National Right to Life that runs
Well-
that, it's a separate organization called March for Life. They started a petition a couple weeks ago to urge Trump to pick someone pro-life. So they were slightly better than all the other DC groups. Slightly, just slightly.
But they're not naming any names.
They're not naming any names, and they won't.
So that's cowardly.
They won't veto people. You gotta veto people.
None of the so-called pro-life organizations within the Beltway are naming any names, and yet they are liberally attacking Andy Schlafly since mid-December for naming names, for doing
Right.
just that.
Right.
And taking money from people at home.
So Phyllis Schlafly Eagles are doing the research and naming names, and no one else will name names. But they wouldn't
Right.
attack the people who are naming names.
Right.
What
I would tweet also something such as, "Don't let Phyllis down,"
That's good. I
to
like it.
at Real Donald Trump.
That's good.
Freedom Defense,
Alliance Defending Freedom.
okay.
Okay.
So they named someone that they were supporting.
They did. He's not being considered. The first choice is not in consideration. Their second choice was pro-abort. So again, unhelpful. Totally unhelpful. And they apparently, well, we're going out of Facebook Live, so I won't say this. I won't say who they talked out of the coalition letter, but they apparently talked a group out of signing my coalition letter. In fact, talked a group into withdrawing from my coalition. Apparently.
Would that have anything to do with their new chairman,
Well,
Mr. Ferris?
yeah, maybe. All right, well, let's get into that.
Who's the new?
Let's get into the Con Con. ADF has had a bit of a apparent takeover where they have removed their founder, Alan Sears, who built the thing up into a very successful organization. They've removed him. He's not an old man. And they've replaced him with Michael Ferris, a Con Con supporter. Yeah. Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, has had a bit of a coup where they have removed their founder, Alan Sears, who built the organization up to a very successful, helpful entity. They've removed him and replaced him with a Con Con Constitutional Convention supporter, Michael Ferris.
More Coke money.
All right. Who's funding? Who's behind the scenes? Who's pulling the strings of these big think tanks that have $20 million annual budgets and act in a bizarre way? When you need them to do something, when you need them to speak out, and they won't do it. the Koch brothers are a big source of the money that's taken over the conservative movement, trying to take it over. And they have publicly tried to take over certain organizations. They publicly tried to take over Cato Institute, for example, publicly. And they were successful in replacing his president. And there have been other organizations that have had coups in the last year.
Horowitz too?
Horowitz had a coup. I don't know if the Koch brothers were behind that or not. But it's almost a certainty that the Koch brothers are behind the Convention of States project.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And this office that just replaced our friend with Mike Ferris, I called to speak to that man that was being replaced,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't patch me through to him. I said,
Yeah.
but is he still working there? Well, yes, he is. And so assumes his job today. I said, is he still working there? Can I talk to him? Well, no, basically, they wouldn't let me speak to him.
Yeah.
So I said, well, is he gonna remain there? And I got the feeling that he was just there till he could find another job. That was my
Yeah.
impression.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that for
Yeah.
a fact.
Michael Ferris lives in Virginia. Michael Ferris had a full plate of things to do. He started this college. He raised money for his college, Patrick Henry College. His college has challenges. It's not that easy to run a college. He had a job. Alliance Defending Freedom is in Arizona. How does that work? He posts on his website that he's going to take 1 year leave of absence from his college to focus on Alliance Defending Freedom. Well, is he going to move to Arizona? Where does that leave his college? I've sent a bunch of homeschool students to his college. What's going to happen to his college? It just, the move doesn't make a lot of sense. It really doesn't. A lot of people are just scratching their heads.
He was a never-Trumper.
He was a never-Trumper.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
College he was running?
Patrick Henry College in Virginia. He was a big Convention of States supporter. Okay, so if you sort of connect the dots here, somebody liked what he was doing on Convention of States, and those same people may have decided we'll put him in charge of Alliance Defending Freedom. Who are those people behind the scenes? I would say the Koch brothers have something to do with this. The Koch brothers are two brothers who are worth $100 billion. Not million, not million. $100 billion. That's 1,000 times more than $100 billion. And they've been shut out of politics, really. I mean, they talked about spending, what, $1 billion in the last election cycle. Trump said, no, I don't want your money. He said, I don't want your money. He just thumbed his nose at it, and he won. And Koch brothers have got to be unhappy about that. Yeah,
How involved are they in Americans for Prosperity?
very.
Oh,
Very
Because,
absolutely.
because
Yeah,
I don't know about your states, but Americans for Prosperity are working very hard in Utah right now. I'm getting communications
Yeah.
about a bill
Yeah.
to pass the Convention of the States.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wisconsin too.
Wisconsin too, yes. So that's where you see them influential, is where you see the Con Con being pushed the hardest. Wisconsin, Texas, Utah, Arizona, and those are the same places where the Koch brothers have a lot of influence. They're globalists. They're globalists.
And Andy,
Yeah.
for Concerned Women for America, I've heard that they're funding them.
It could be, certainly could be. Now,
Michael Ferris came to a meeting in Ellensburg in 1978. We call ourselves the Umbrella Group, and all these conservatives, and he sat beside me, and we were talking about the ERA. And the next day, I was going back here to lobby against the extension, and he took my whole packet and took it to Spokane, and he called me and he said, "I'm sorry, but Phyllis Schlafly convinced me, and I'm getting involved."
and who was that?
Michael Ferris.
Oh, no kidding.
She got him involved.
That's too darn
Wow.
bad.
Wow.
But he worked arm in arm with CWA. Michael Ferris he gave Beverly LaHaye more credit than
He also, Michael Ferris did something in that ERA fight that my mother was very unhappy about. What he did without coordinating with the Stop ERA movement, was he went off on his own and filed a lawsuit to try to establish some legal precedent. I think maybe connected with rescission, I'm not sure about that, but whatever. He filed some lawsuit to try to stop ERA. And it was unhelpful. It was unhelpful. It caused, yeah, go ahead. No,
It
go
was
ahead.
in the wrong venue. I mean, what happened was when Phyllis found out about it, she had to get Mountain States Legal Foundation or someone else to hustle and get it moved to a different venue. I mean, it wasn't helpful at all. And to this day, well, the last time I heard him debate online, he's claiming credit for having worked with Phyllis to
Yes.
help defeat the ERA amendment when he was just an additional hurdle. She, didn't bother to call Phyllis first. It was not helpful.
That's right. So I debated Michael Ferris about convention of states. He came to New Jersey about 3 years ago, and we held a debate and got a pretty good crowd.
We were there.
You were there.
Yeah,
There we
we
go. And got about 150 people comment. Some of them are homeschoolers and so on. And just a few of the highlights of the debate. One highlight was I thought you get a chance to question each other. And I said to Michael Ferris, I said, well, the original Constitutional Convention was secret from the media. You didn't have that media influence. And of course, the media back in 1787 was not as powerful and overwhelming as it is today, but they still thought the media was too much and they kept it out. Right?
That debate got very personal, and my wife and I applaud you really for your posture in that in defending yourself on the personal side of the debate.
I appreciate that.
It was very, very interesting.
I appreciate that. So I asked Michael Ferris if he were successful in having a new constitutional convention, which is what the Convention of States Project seeks, a new Article 5 constitutional convention. Are you going to keep it secret from the press? Are you going to keep the media out, as George Washington did for the original one? He didn't like the question, I don't think. There was a little bit of a pause, and then he said, no, we're going to let the media in. We're going to let the media in. Now, why is that? Why are they going to let the media in?
Because it's unbelievable that you could keep them out, so you can't pretend
Well,
you're going
that's
to.
true. But I think the even bigger reason is they want the attention.
Yeah.
The Koch brothers don't feel like they're loved enough, that they don't get enough credit. They want the attention if it comes to that point of rewriting the Constitution.
They want to be the refounding fathers.
They want to be the refounder. They're worth $100 billion. They think they should be just as important as George Washington and James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, instead of being laughed at by Trump and other people.
Yeah, but all you
Let the
hear,
media in.
all you hear is people pushing for just a couple of amendments that they're doing.
Yeah.
Don't they realize that behind the whole thing is rewriting?
That's right. Okay. So they're trying to package their Convention of States in the most attractive way possible. So they pretend that you can limit it to a few amendments. You can't. You can't. Article 5 of the Constitution says that when 2/3 of the states make an application to Congress, Congress then calls the convention, and the convention then proposes amendments, plural. No limit. No limit. There's nothing in the process that enables a limited convention. It's just not there in Article 5. They completely made it up. It's a hoax.
That was proved in 1787.
There you go.
It was proved.
1787, they didn't limit it. They rewrote the whole thing. And the Koch brothers don't want to limit it. They want to rewrite the whole thing. Emerge from the shadows. And that's what they want to do. Yeah, right.
So what about legislators who say that they aren't for an Article 5 convention, but they like the compact of this, for a balanced budget? Can you critique
The
that?
compact is, there's another effort. It's not part of Convention of States. I think Convention of States is the biggest threat because it's got this huge funding behind it. But there are other proposals out there. One is the compact, where they're trying to do it contractually among the states. And they try to claim that they're not really an Article 5 constitutional convention. They're trying to claim it's a compact, which is a contract among the states, and that they're going to do it that way. They're not as well funded. I don't think they're as big a threat as the Convention of States people.
How do they get around the Constitution, which prohibits the states from
Yes.
establishing interstate compacts?
That's right. That's right. You need congressional approval to establish interstate compacts, so they can't. I mean, they can't. They're going to have to get congressional approval. So what I think they say is they'll get congressional approval if needed. But the Constitution does say that. That's very good, Cheryl. So, yeah, go ahead, Jane. Yeah.
The Koch brothers held their last big meeting in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor.
Okay.
And they had.
When was that?
Pardon?
When was that?
I think it was probably late summer,
Okay.
because they really hit big, they never Trump, and they trotted out our new Senator Cory Gardner, who's a never
Yes.
Trumper,
Yeah.
and our Congressman Mike Kaufman,
Yeah.
and they came out so publicly anti-Trump. And so that meeting, immediately after that meeting is when those two Congress people started speaking out anti-Trump. And of course, we have this fight still going on in Colorado because former President Bush's nephew, Neil Bush, Walker Stapleton, he is our state treasurer, and he's wanting to run for governor. And so all this money is coming in behind him for the liberals to take back over the Republican Party in Colorado
Yeah.
that we took away from them.
Yeah. 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 Cory Gardner is anti-Trump, or has
Oh,
been.
yeah, big time,
So
big time.
that may mean he's Koch brothers. I mean, I guess
It is.
it is. It is.
Well, they
It's-
helped him win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there
You
you
saw
go.
that the whole state of Colorado walked out of the convention in protest.
Mm-hmm.
In Cleveland?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. When they tried to do their
Yeah.
little maneuver?
Yeah, and they
Wow.
left in protest. I got some pictures I'll send it to you.
Wow.
Yeah. They walked out en masse in
Yep.
protest of that.
They threw the credentials down, which were picked up by the people who got in and caused all kinds of problems, disruptions.
That was divide and conquer.
Andy, one of the things I've read is that they're telling state legislators that every state will have one vote.
Right. Right.
But they can vote on that at the
They
convention and
can
change
vote.
it.
Yeah, and they will change it. In fact, the Supreme Court might make them change it.
Right.
Because that whole idea of one state, one vote, or not non-proportional voting has all been overturned by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said it's got to be proportional
Yeah, it's
voting.
non-representative of the
Right.
people.
Right,
But I
exactly.
also think that they could even vote at the convention to ratify it right then and there. They could vote on that right there.
Well, they could try. They could try. But the Constitution says after the convention it has to go back to the states for 3/4 of the states to approve. And convention of states will use that. And they'll say, well, if they came up with bad ideas, we'll block it from being ratified by 3/4 of the states. And I said to Michael Ferris in the debate, I said, yeah, like the 17th Amendment was going to be blocked. 17th Amendment is one of the worst amendments where it took power away from the state legislatures and gave it to people to directly elect U.S. senators. And there are a number of prominent conservatives that 17th Amendment is one of the worst things. It took all the power away from state legislatures, so it made the state legislatures almost nothing and had people directly elect senators. Before the 17th Amendment, which was passed during the Woodrow Wilson administration, or right around that time, so for more than a century, U.S. senators were picked by state legislatures, and that gave state legislatures power in Congress. Well, they changed that. Well, I went back and looked at what happened when that 17th Amendment went to the states for ratification. Went flying through the states. The state legislatures didn't think they could stop it, and many state legislatures voted for it unanimously because the pressure on them was so great from the media and interest groups and so on. There was so much media pressure and propaganda that they're passing it unanimously, even though it was the worst thing they could possibly do from their own self-interest. And that's what happened at the Constitutional Convention. We had a Constitutional Convention. It's going to be a freight train. There's going to be no stopping that, whatever comes out of that thing. You're not going to stop that in state legislatures.
they have to, it doesn't have to be ratified by the state legislatures. They could pick a different way for those 34 states.
They could do that. That's right. They could pick a convention in each of those states to ratify, and who knows who's going to the convention. That's right. That's an excellent point, Marie.
Could you give us a rundown of just exactly what the situation is, how many states
Yeah.
have passed it? And
Yeah.
I believe you said there's differences in what they've passed.
They're trying to do the same language, and you'll see this in your state, where if when they introduce, if you try to amend it, they'll say, no, you can't amend it, it's got to be identical language. But in fact, in the 8 states that have passed Convention of States, it hasn't been identical language. They all do refer to sort of the same basic points, like term limits. They'll say we need this for term limits, because they know term limits is very popular with our side. And so they have that as one of their things. And they say to limit the power and authority of the federal government. That's another one of the things. Sounds good, right? Limit the power and authority of the federal government. But that can be anything.
That's what the Constitution does.
Right, exactly. Right. And if they're not going to obey the current Constitution, they're not going to obey a new one. And it doesn't. Yeah, Jan.
There are 3 things in the state of Missouri: limit the power of the federal government,
Yeah.
which the Constitution already does.
Yeah.
The other thing is a balanced budget, because it's
Yeah.
very, very popular.
Very popular.
And
Yeah.
term limits.
Yeah.
And so then our House passed it a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I guess. And well, the Senate passed it 2 years ago, and when it went to the House, it failed. But we nagged so much about this is going to go on and on and on. The call will always be out there, like the Equal Rights Amendment. And so we had a House member heard me, which I'm sorry I said. There's no sunset on it. He put a sunset
Yeah.
amendment on it.
Yeah.
And so now that's different than
Yes.
whoever else.
Yeah.
It's not a like thing.
Right.
But you talked about ratification, and my understanding is that the convention itself could ratify. They could change their own rules and do that. But if it comes back to the states, what is the ratification process in the state? Because the state of Missouri has a ratification process that you call a state convention to ratify. So I'm confused on the ratification, but
It
I
could
think
set
it's
the
something that
ratification,
all the
but-
states.
But under Article 5, it either has to be 3/4 of the state legislatures or 3/4 of conventions in states. So there are some, they can't just ratify it themselves, I don't think. I mean, try to though, and they'll probably try to and say they did it, and who's going to stop them? Then you got to run into court to stop them, but the courts aren't going to stop them.
And what is the situation with Ted Cruz and
Okay, so Ted Cruz, he's got those same donors, all right, and this is donor driven. Koch brothers, and there's some other billionaires that the Koch brothers work with. They have like a club of billionaires, and they all decide what they're going to do en masse. And those are the people who gave Ted Cruz $150 million. You know, Ted Cruz had twice as much money, almost twice as much as Donald Trump in the primary. Very well funded by his people. And Ted Cruz has come out in favor of many amendments, and he's made statements that sort of support the concept of a con-con. But he has tried to choose his words carefully, and he'll do that. And I don't think he has actually fully endorsed a con-con.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I see it as, he knows how popular term limits is.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
his whole strategy is to push term limits, knowing that McConnell won't even bring it out.
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, you're gonna have to go back to
Right.
the grassroots
Right.
that support
Yeah.
Cruz and say,
Yeah.
gotta have a con-con.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So he filed a bill just with the new Congress here earlier this month for term limits. And it's going to go nowhere. And and the other thing is he's running for re-election in Texas. And for some reason, these billionaires have taken over Texas. So they got the governor and lieutenant governor on board with this convention of states. And Cruz, I think, will get on board any minute and push it forward.
Well, he's already
Well-
been on board.
Yeah,
Campaign, didn't he say?
He hasn't said I endorse Con Con, he hasn't used those words. He's
Yeah.
chosen his words carefully.
Yes.
He's very crafty.
Dance
He's danced around it. Like
He's not
Phyllis says.
against used words that would, in other words, say he's.
Well, I can understand the two basic amendments with the term limits, and of course, the one about a balanced budget. Well, the thing is, don't they really trust in Trump? I guess if they're never Trumpers, they don't like Trump. Because I think, have they ever asked him? Because he's doing so many other improvements and grading the swamp.
Right.
And I think he's going to try to get a balanced budget.
Right.
And if you asked him, he probably would be for term limits.
Right.
But they don't want to go the right route.
Right.
Because they want something else besides us.
Right, right. Well, see, one of the things they want is they don't
Yes.
want a border wall.
No.
They don't want border security. So when they say we want to reduce the power of the federal government, the reason the Koch brothers like that is they don't want border security.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the federal government that builds that wall. So that may be an argument you can use in your state legislatures. Say, well, wait a minute, this is going to make it impossible for us to build a wall, right? And play that issue against them. Kitty, you were going to say. Now, Kitty's got a great way that Kitty stops it in South Dakota every time, even though they had 3 lobbyists last session, 3 lobbyists. Come on in, including Tom Coburn. Come on in, the senator who got Tom Coburn, right, who got right in Kitty's face. Said, "Who are you?" Right. Who are you? Coburn. They'll get that. Yeah. Go ahead, tell him.
How dare he?
You're my hero, Kitty.
Well, he was just terrible.
You want to stand up and get on the camera? Here,
Yeah,
Kitty,
oh,
come
go
up
on
and
the
tell
camera.
him.
Come on, Kitty.
Stop it, because Kitty's really the master at this.
Kitty,
She
she's
defeated
recording
Right
this, okay?
three-
It's on Facebook. She's filming it.
Well,
He's right here.
that terrible
Here,
guy
Jennifer.
here, you gotta
from
stand right here.
California.
Stand right
Just
here.
stand right here.
No,
Oh,
no,
right
not
Here,
here,
not
right
here,
over
wrong
there.
point.
Over
Oh,
there.
yeah, right around point.
Over here.
And you gotta look at that, look at Sharon's hands there.
Okay.
All right.
Well, this guy from Oklahoma, Coburn, he blocked me from going over to the Senate. I said, listen, gentlemen, in South Dakota, women are first. So he moved a little bit. Now, get out of my way so I can talk to the senators. So the other lobbyist from Texas, he was even worse. He said to me, "You little squirt, get out of my way." I said, "Tell you what, I survived Hitler, and I will survive you. Go back to Texas. Don't come to South Dakota. We are very independent. We don't want outsiders to come here and tell us how to vote." So what happened? They passed it in the House, and then it went over to the Senate. And I right away went to the majority leader of the Senate. I said, we have to kill that bill. But I know that that majority leader was in the Army with a high rank. You don't tell somebody in the Army with a high rank what to do. But I said, I heard that New Mexico put a fiscal note on there. Oh, he said, a fiscal note. And I said, you know what? If you put this fiscal note on there, then it goes to the either the appropriation committee or the tax committee. So the next day I found out that he put the bill into the tax committee, and it died very nicely there. So that's how you have to work it. A fiscal note. You also tell the legislators, if they balance the budget, your state will not get federal money for the interstate and the highway. Also, I said, our farmers are getting subsidies, and if they don't get subsidies, we're going to have a riot in the state. So I am working the Farm Bureau and the Farmers Union, that's the left wing, and they all are with me. So that's how it works.
Well, tell him also what he said about you, that, who were you? And you said, well, I beat you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, those two lobbyists, they stayed there for 5 days and they spent a lot of money entertaining the legislators, which I couldn't do because I don't have the money. But they went back to their states with the tail hanging down. And this time, just before I left, I got a call from the lobbyists that they have a resolution to repeal Article 5. So that's very good news. Thank you very much.
Just a second, Cheryl. Now, Kitty, it's not polite to state a woman's age, but Kitty, for inspiration, Kitty, do you want to explain your age and what you just have survived yourself, just to inspire all of us? If you don't mind, if you want to pass, that's fine.
I am 91 years old. 2 years ago, I traveled the states from North Carolina all the way up to California to tell my story about Hitler's socialism and Marxism and what Obama is doing. Well, then 2 years ago, in this September, I had a heart attack. So I couldn't do a whole lot. But last year in September, I was in a very good hospital, and they did a lot of tests. In November, they unblocked my arteries, and December 15, I had heart surgery, and I got a new heart valve. I am as good as new again. So I would encourage you to get my DVD and find out what Obama got us into it, 80% into socialism. The only thing he couldn't achieve, gun control. Because the National Rifle Association had my DVD on the YouTube when I said, keep your guns and buy more guns and stack up on the ammunition. And I think that was the key, that Obama couldn't get gun control.
Well, wasn't Soros also, I always thought he was like a puppet of Obama, and everything
Well,
Soros
yeah.
wanted, Obama put into place because of what Soros wanted, so his programs were put into
And gun control would have closely got us onto 100% into socialism. So I thank God for Phyllis Schlafly that she had the courage to stand up and endorse Donald Trump. And that's the turnaround. We are taking America back. Yeah. Thank God.
So if we get to be 91 years old and we've had a heart attack, we still have to do as much as Kitty does. So Kitty called me before the Republican convention in Cleveland, and she said, I noticed there's someone on the platform committee there named Hal Wick. Watch out for him because he supports the Con Con here in South Dakota. Watch out for him. And this is how we operate over the years. And Jane, I'm sure you have many stories like that. You get that little tip. You get that tip. Marilyn, you got the story about Star Wars and SDI in Oregon. You get that little tip. And I remember that, Kitty. I went to Cleveland, and we had our little training session for delegates the Sunday night before. I said, watch out for Hal Wick and attempt to slip the Con Con into the Republican National Platform. Okay, the feedback we got from our training session and throughout until almost the very end of that Republican platform meetings is they're not going to bring it up. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Focus on other issues. They're not going to bring it up. People repeatedly told us that they're not going to try to put Con Con into the platform. No, I don't get fooled by that anymore. Maybe I did when I was 15 years old, but not anymore. So we kept on it. Watch for it. It's not over till it's over, right? Who said that? Yogi Berra, watch for it. And we even had our own people saying, oh, you're still looking for that thing? No, we've been assured they're not going to put it up. The very end of the platform meetings there, Howick slipped it in, a handwritten document calling for the Republican platform to endorse a balanced budget, and then it was either or language. That was clever. Whoa. That's right, a little too much fun maybe. Special effect there. Call for the balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, and then it was some language something like either passed by Congress or by an Article 5 convention. That's how they slipped in the most innocuous way possible. And most of the people missed it. We had one delegate who was there at our training session that Sunday night, who spotted it, who texted me, said, took a picture of it, sent me a text, is this what you're talking about? And I screamed back, that's it, you gotta stop it. And it came up on the floor there, and he proposed it, and everyone's kind of looking around, what's this, balanced budget? Yeah, I didn't hear the whole thing, but yeah, balanced budget, yeah. She spoke out against it, and once she took the lead, speaking out against it, that was Michonne Maddock. To give her credit, we gave her an Eagle Award. In fact, she's running for co-chair of the Michigan Republican Party right now. And once she spoke out strongly against it, and she had all the arguments, then other people said, yeah, we don't want that. Then other people had to speak out against it, and then it was defeated almost unanimously. But that's how slick the other side is. That's how slick they are. If they'd gotten that in the platform, then right here we'd be talking about how we're going to beat this thing. It's in the platform.
Andy, if I may, since the convention, my husband was a delegate from Missouri.
Okay.
Since the convention platform committee voted that down.
Yes.
And in the state of Missouri, we voted it down and down and down in district conventions as well as our state convention. Yes. We need something that all of us can use in our states, some sort of slick flyer, because when they come, they're spending lots and lots of money on lots of slick information that they're giving to our legislators, and they've got them in their hand. And those are the facts that those people that are delegates at the National Convention are grassroots Republican. That's how they get it, how our elected officials get elected, by those folks. And they're the ones that are saying no. The noise that's coming from our state when we have a hearing is very new people who just want it now. They know something's wrong. Let's just, whatever it is, this is going to work, but they have no idea. But those are the kinds of facts that we need to put in something that we can all use.
Yes, we do. So we need to pull that together for you. And we've got about 10 reasons to oppose this.
I have another weapon we can use, and that is Mark Levin. He got money from somewhere, and this is his horse to ride. But anyway, so he was on our radio station. So I called him up, and the talk show guys, Bill, and I said, Bill, can I ask a question? He said, Mark won't be on the radio live. He'll only pre-record and then put it on. And when you're running for office, you were taught, don't ever say your opponent's last name or name. Don't ever. And he's not going to give any time, any place to us to be on the air. And that is, he doesn't want to debate, and that we should expose him for it.
That's exactly right, Marilyn.
And
Right, yeah.
one of the things that I've been asking for repeatedly now for several months is we need an explanation, a difference between a balanced budget amendment and just a balanced budget for your state. Because that is the confusion that our new green legislators do not understand.
Yeah. Many states do balance their budget.
Every state
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a column.
That's a great idea.
Well, there's so many good resources online. I know Publius Holda has some excellent information. But I'm just looking, for example, at Utah's legislative website, and we're only 2 days into our legislative session. Last time around, we already passed the balanced budget with the Convention of States, and now It is in the House first reading. As of the 23rd, 24th, it's gone to the standing committee. And listen to this. What committee do you think this would show up in? The House Natural Resources, Agriculture, and Environment Committee. So sometimes you have to really dig into your legislative committees to find these things. So anyway, I just want to let you know, and they have such great momentum from the wins, from the Republican wins of this last cycle, not just federally, but in the states. And I don't know how your state is, but Utah is overwhelmingly Republican. But if you look at their voting records, they're miserably very not Republican. And so we keep track of that. So that's Utah. You would not think that of Utah.
Sorry about that.
I tried to fill for you, Andy.
Okay, filibuster there.
Yeah.
Now, one of our arguments talking about a flyer, and one of the things that would be on our flyer is that Justice Scalia, at an event that I attended, just maybe about 8 months before he passed away, he was asked, what do you think of a constitutional convention? And he said, oh, that's a, quote, horrible idea, close quote. So he completely condemned it. Now, these Convention of States people, maybe you're going to say that.
No, I have something in writing where he was making a memo, and he said, in this day and time, with all the,
Yes, yes.
somebody help me with that, it would be a bad idea because of everything that's in
Right.
place right now.
Right.
That was from a video that was recorded at that conference.
It was in writing, I got a letter.
But it's a transcript.
Got it, okay, so it
Yeah.
could be.
That was
Yeah.
the conference that
Same
Andy
one,
went to.
okay.
Yeah, now back in 1979, before Scalia went to D.C., became a judge, and all that bit, first he was an appellate judge, then he was a Supreme Court judge for nearly 30 years. Back in 79, he made a statement, it's kind of ambiguous, but it suggests that he was open to the idea. That's when he didn't know what he knew after he was in D.C. for decades.
Oh, gotcha.
So, you know, a lot of us made statements 30 years ago before we knew what was going on that we completely disavowed today. But the Convention of States, they're posted on their website, they're slick as, oh, Scalia supported this such and such a way. I mean, it's just complete misinformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kitty. Go ahead.
Oh, we also would lose the electoral college, and Hillary
Yes.
would have
Yes.
loved that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly right. So electoral college, now that's one of the first things to take away. Realize that a Republican would not have won president since 1988 if it weren't for electoral college. So for 30 years, we would have no Republican president if it weren't for the electoral college. George W. Bush won in 2000, won presidency, even though he lost the popular vote. He won the presidency because of the electoral college, and then he was able to win re-election based on the electoral college. Of course, Trump this last time we saw is because of the electoral college. Well, they want to take that away now, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's their prime target. And what's it, to digress a little bit, but it does get into the compound, what do we say when, you know, a teenager, someone in a public school says, we should get rid of that electoral college? I mean, why don't you just let the people decide? Why do we have a president who wasn't elected by the people? What's our best argument against that? Yeah.
Do you really want 3 or 4 states to determine who's your president?
Right.
But we're also not a democracy, so
Actually,
we
do you
don't
want
have
8 or
any
10
votes.
cities to decide?
Well, yeah, but it's, yeah.
Republic.
So a term I've been using is we want geographic diversity. Right? Diversity's good. Talking about diversity.
Well, what we're up against with the Electoral College is that the textbooks are teaching it. There is a cartoon in our local school, and it is a horse and buggy and the race car behind, and it's the horse and buggy that's holding up the popular vote.
Yeah, wow.
And what are kids gonna remember?
Yes.
We've got to get our schools back.
We've got to get our schools back, but and I passed that all around the legislature. And after this election, I had several, with our inaugural here in the state, several reps come up to me, and say, You know, I was really for an electoral college until this election, so I think you're beginning to see that, popular
Yes.
vote.
Yeah, right.
And now they see
Right.
the importance
Right.
of the electoral college.
Well, so that's like Trump himself, right? So he was, 10 years ago, he goes, electoral college, that's antiquated, we should get rid of that. So then now he tweets, the genius of the electoral college. The smaller states should not be considered a con-con at all. Because you get into this con-con, they're going to get outvoted by California and New York. So like Missouri, they're not going to have, one of 50 votes. They're going to be irrelevant to the thing. It's going to be California with 53, 63 delegates, and Missouri's going to have just a handful. So the whole outcome of the con-con is going to be determined by the big states.
They can't even decide how to choose the people that are going to be representing us.
Andy, are you going to give us a copy for each state to introduce a rescission?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
Yes, and New Hampshire is doing that. New Hampshire has a rescission bill.
They did it, I thought.
Well, it's in committee. They've introduced it, they had a committee hearing, I went and checked a couple days ago. I don't know if it's passed out of committee yet, it's in process. Do you know if it passed out of
I
committee?
thought I heard that it had.
Okay, could be.
I could be wrong.
And it's a pretty good bill. It's a pretty good bill. It says, look, the way we solve our problems is by electing good people and having them fix it, not by doing a constitutional.
Well, we have a state senator who's very interested in introducing a rescission in Colorado. He ran for the U.S. Senate, and his son, the dad's in the Senate, the son's in the House.
Yeah,
and they're really wanting to stir things up there.
And they're both on our side?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, yeah. So I've been feeding them information
Yeah.
and saying, Tim, is now the time with
Yeah.
our budget in Colorado is in trouble because they're wanting to introduce a new tax
Yeah.
because we can't cover everything.
Yeah.
So I said, so if you introduce a balanced budget amendment and you take this much more money away from the state of Colorado, how's that going to work? I said, Tim, is now the time. And so I'm feeding him, and I need more to feed him.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I think we'll just use that New Hampshire bill, would you?
Andy, I got a question. We talked about the Con-Con or the Article 5 people and how well they are promoting a lot of the stuff that's going on and the funding that they have behind them. Do we have a list of people that are in regional areas that could come and speak to groups and maybe have some, maybe have some debates between the pro and the cons about that?
Yes.
I'd love to put something like that on in Southern California.
And we do. I can't think of anyone right now in Southern California, but I know Publius Holda does a lot of speaking and debates, and I'm available to do some of that too. And I think we win when there's a debate, when we get the ideas out there of how bad this is. One of the things is the Second Amendment that I emphasize in my debate with Michael Ferris. I mean, one of the first things he'll do with this county is take away the Second Amendment, or change it, add words like, yeah, you have a right to bear arms. If you're in a militia. If you're in a militia. If you're a member of a militia, you have a right to bear arms. Just add those little words. That's what retired Justice John Paul Stevens wants to do. Oh, he's in favor of the Second Amendment. He just wants to clarify it a little bit. Say, yeah, right to bear arms if you're a member of a militia. Well, who's a member of a militia? I mean, not very many people. Yeah, Susan.
Well, I was going to mention that there was there's not very many that I know of Schlafly people in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
But the John Birch Society was standing side by side with me when we would do debates.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to reach out to them for help.
But we never should be able to be fearful because truth is its own defense. That's what Phyllis told me. And it is simple. They cannot get past it's uncontrollable.
Right.
Once the gavel go down. That is in their cry, that's our winning thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It's indisputable.
But you talk to the people that they recently did something in Colorado or I forget where it was, one of the Midwestern states. They did a practice Article 5, and that was one of the things they said, oh no, we did this practice debate and we did this practice Article 5, and it went over really well, and there's a lot of controls in it, and you're not gonna open, I keep telling everybody, you're gonna open up Pandora's box.
Yeah, they do that in Williamsburg, Virginia. Now, you know about Senator Dixon? You want to tell him Senator Dixon?
He's changed his mind. He's changed, he was one of the sponsors in the Senate. He ran for governor in the primary and lost. Well, he withdrew. But he was all the way. Now he's looking at a
Compact.
compact,
Yeah,
yes. But he has changed his mind.
Yeah.
What
He-
changed on the, what changed?
by going to the Williamsburg
Yeah, there's
convention because it all
simulated
fell apart.
convention or mock convention.
Yeah.
He went to
Was
it.
that where it was, Williams?
Yeah, they spent millions of dollars. And
There
they
was a second
treated-
one.
Oh, the second one's
There was a
Williamsburg.
second one since then, and they said it
Ah.
ran much better.
That was the
but-
Williamsburg one, the second one.
Yeah.
The first one was out in Colorado or Utah or something.
Oh,
That
okay.
weekend,
It was in Colorado.
we had members go there also. I mean, Missouri's
Yeah.
up to here with it.
What's
I mean,
the
they're all.
compact?
Compact is a little different where the states all agree to do certain things among themselves. But as been pointed out here, I think it's contractual. As Sharon pointed out, Congress has to approve those for it to be effective.
Don't we have a couple of those anyway? Alaska and Georgia or someone already has a compact for an Article 5?
Some states have passed them, a few have passed them, yeah. I think that's right. Sharon, you want to cut the video for a
Sure.
second? I want to talk about another topic here offline.
You bet.
It's a rare time I do this, but